Hi, this is Tammy Anderson, and today I'm going to present classroom management in the elementary, music classroom, and beyond. No, David, no yelling, no pushing, no running in the halls. That's it, mister. You're staying after school. Good job, David. This is an excerpt from David Goes to School. And as we can see, David has no positivity going on, except when he stays after school to clean off his desk and all the other desks. Now, he's going to be reinforced to stay after school more because of what his teacher has done. Could there be a better way? Let's discover it. Learning is defined as a long-term change in mental representations or associations as a result of experience. Virtually little or no learning can occur in a classroom bereft of effective management and discipline. Classroom management has recently been encapsulated as establishing and maintaining order in a group-based educational system whose goals include student learning as well as social and emotional growth. The definition also includes actions and strategies that prevent, correct, and redirect inappropriate student behavior. Classroom management has two systems. It has a classroom layout and the behavior management. And the classroom layout, it includes the procedures that you teach your children, routines, rules, and also just how is the classroom laid out? Can you walk among the students to redirect them to have close proximity? And in the behavior management section, are your expectations realistic for their age? Do the kids know the self-management skills? Are you building trust and practicing trust with your students? And if the students mess up, are you able to do a redo with the students? Even if you've already taught the lesson 10 minutes, just go back outside and come back in as for a redo. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, they have five. The first one is physiological needs. The second one is safety. The third is love and belonging. The fourth is esteem. And five is the need for self-actualization. Now let's connect Maslow to classroom management. And for the physiological, there's not much that we can do as teachers for this, except the school can provide lunch and breakfast for the students to care for their lunch and breakfast needs. But perhaps as a teacher, we could have a few snacks in our classroom. Because I know in mine, I always have a kid or two come in late for break and they don't get breakfast. Now, as far as our class goes, we can have a good, safe classroom where students feel protected from attacks and unhealthy environment conditions and from psychological abuse. And when we are providing a safe area for our students, we need to make sure that we do number three, that the students feel loved and belonging. Are we talking to our students in a condescending fashion? Are we having power plays with them? Are we trying to show favoritism to any students? Hopefully not. Hopefully we are fair and consistent and humane and devoid of criticism. Now, our students all have esteem needs. We can help them grow their self-confidence and give them a sense of purpose. We can empower our students. And the fifth one, we don't really see in the elementary world as much, is the need for self-actualization. And that is where the students realize that all their basic needs have been fulfilled. Now, in a classroom management, we need to be proactive. We need to make sure we're modeling expertly. I mean, over the top modeling. We need to make sure our directions and our directives are very explicit. Um, there are consistent actions regarding student behavior in the classroom, and we need to make sure that we provide inspiration that will help motivate our students' learning. Now, there are some things called concepts of punishment and reinforcement. Remember earlier when I was talking about David? Well, when you see a student performing a negative behavior, we got to be careful not to call out that student repetitively, very much like their teacher did in the beginning of the story. If you do, then you will positively be reinforcing that negative behavior. And then if you're not careful, it will go on into the vicarious punishment and reinforcement, and which will be we're calling out the student, and all the other students in the classroom want that same attention. So they're going to be starting to behave negatively like the student that you're calling out. We don't want that to happen. We don't want any vicarious reinforcement going on. Now, a lot of school systems have PBIS, which is positive behavior incentives. And this is where we teach the behaviors and while we teach the appropriate behaviors to replace the inappropriate ones. We minimize the conditions that trigger the inappropriate behaviors. And we establish daily routines so the students know what to expect and there's no anxiety. All right, we give students the opportunity to make choices. And we make adaptations in our curriculum to maximize the likelihood of academic success. And then we monitor the frequency of various behaviors of the students that we're working with to see if maybe we need to make an intervention or we need to make an adaptation to one of our lessons. Now, classroom management is about a few things. One is about relationships and it's about keeping it interesting. For our relationships, we want to make sure we learn all the names of our students. Yes, I teach 700 students, so yes, all 700 students. Now, Becca does make a good point on her website that all you really need to know is have the student think you know their name, even if it's you have a seating chart in front of you and you're cheating by looking at the seating chart. All right, we're going to make sure we focus on having fun. And we got to make sure we have a consistent demeanor. The kids have got to know what to expect. Now, when we keep it interesting, we want to change the pace up a little bit. We don't want to just all be sitting on the floor the whole time. We want to sing. We want to march around the room. We want to play instruments. We want to do a movement activity. We're going to change the pace up. So make sure that the students are always doing something. And then when you can, especially with the older kids, you can have group work. Now, one of the practical tips, number one, is don't overtalk over the students. The class is loud, you don't want to talk over them because then you're training them to disrespect you. You have to train your students to be quiet first and then you talk. And Becca has a few good motions here that the best way to do this is to get is to have a signal. She raises her hand and they raise their hand. She rings the bells and then the students raise their hands. Or she has callbacks. Let's look at some callbacks she likes to use. She uses class, yes, hocus pocus, everybody focus, macaroni and cheese, everybody freeze. Are you ready, kids? Aye, aye, Captain. To infinity and beyond. Holy moly, guacamole. Now, the key to all these callback examples is to practice, practice, and practice. Now, a practical tip number 2 is to choose a classroom management system. Whatever classroom management system you use, one of the first tools you should have is to think about how a student's going to sit out and always allow them to be able to come back in and join the class. Now, Becca has a system where she has 3 cards. She has a yellow card for students that sit in their seat, but then they're not allowed to do any of the fun stuff. And then she has an orange card where she moves the kids to the back of the room as an audience member. And then on the red card, she has where they sit in the audience and then they get a phone call home, and she gives the upper grades silent lunch. Now, I don't know about you, but you may have dealt with some defiant children. I know I have in my over 20 years of teaching. These are students that when you tell them to sit down or thank you, Susie, for sitting in your seat so quietly. Well, these defiant children will be the ones to stand up and just do opposite of everything that you say. So, some of the Lawnmower has 5 examples of what to do. One, you're going to prepare the music through nonverbal sequences. We'll get to that one in just a minute. We're going to construct behavior with scene imagery. We can delay gratification to teach effort control. We're going to reduce the opportunities to fail with continuity, and we're going to embrace collaboration activities. Now, these are the things what I was talking to you about. Thank you. To be effective, the student wants public affirmation of compliant behavior. But, the behaviorist in Lawnmower says, no, they're not going to do that. They're going to, that you say thank you for sitting quietly, the students is going to stand up. These are students that might be suffering from emotional behavior disorder. And they want the negative attention. Could that have been David at the beginning of the story? All right, so well, this is one of my favorite examples that Lawnmower uses for dealing with defiant students. This is where you have a classroom standing at the door, and they're talking. Like maybe it's a class right after lunch, or they're quiet for the teacher, and when they come through your classroom door, they start talking. All right, no, 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 no. All right, one, we can have a redo, but this man just discusses having doing like wiggling your fingers or doing some type of motion with your hands or doing a we will rock you type of rhythm or some type of body percussion to get the students engaged in what you're doing and getting them mainly just to focus. All right. So here are some classroom resource pages. I have 2. Here we are. We've got Becca. We've got the Defiant Classroom. So this is some very good information, and I recommend that you go and look these up because this is very interesting things. Thank you for watching. Have a great evening.